All right, all right, all right. Welcome to this week's sales meeting. Some appropriate tunage this morning as we talk about new construction. Why not have a little brick house playing? Excited to have you all here with us this morning. We've got a lot to go over before we get to our panel to talk about new construction and what that looks like as a part of your business for 2022. But before we get into that, let's start with some birthdays. So today is the first day of February. Can you believe it? Blink and you miss January. So all of these lovely realtors are going to be celebrating their birthdays in the month of February. So take a quick scan, find a name of someone you know, send them some love in the chat or send them some love in the old text message. And we will be very happy to, if anyone's looking, if anyone's planning on celebrating alone, give me a call. No one should ever do that. I'm here for you there. And then work anniversaries, we kick off another year of being in business with all of these very smart, very talented, very successful realtors. And I hope that this lap around the sun with Keller Williams is your best one yet. So again, if you see any names you know or any people you like, send them a text, congratulate them on kicking off another year with KW. All right, guys, jumping into our session today, we're going to start with a little mission moment, or touch on our belief system as we do every week. And the one that really speaks to me this morning is around creativity. And so creativity, we say ideas before results. Now, this was always a tough one for me to reconcile for this organization. We're a company of models and systems. It doesn't really allow for a lot of room for creativity when you're talking about proven models. And, if you've seen the organizational model from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it is it claims to be 7 parts, but half the parts have subparts. So it's more like 11 or 12 steps. After you read it, you might need all of them. And so the room for creativity doesn't really make a lot of sense. But then, as you see the market shifting, as you see things changing, as you stay in the business long enough, you realize that, what got you here won't get you there. And we're standing on the first day of February, and we've got a thimble full of inventory, right? And we've probably got, a bunch of buyers that if it was aged inventory, would probably be some of them we've been working with for multiple years. And so we want to be creative in trying to find a way to accomplish our mission, the mission for our clients, and the mission for our lives. And sometimes that means doing things that we've never done before, right? I see a lot of folks on this call who, have never sold new construction, who've never been a part of those conversations, who don't know the glide path and what it means to be a partner to the builder and to your client throughout the process. And so the admonishment here this morning is, think beyond what you've done, think creatively about solutions for your clients, and your business will thrive. So think about that one as you work through your week this week, and we'll be really excited for you to have some takeaways. Guys, you all got an email last night, and I know it seems redundant because every time I send an email, you immediately read it, and you read it thoroughly, and you take notes, you print it out, you put it on the refrigerator, and you're super excited about it. But just in case, email I sent last night was one that slipped through the cracks of your inbox. I wanted to let you all know that we have made a hire for our West Side productivity coach. I'm very excited to say that Wesley Croft, who is more than half a decade with our brokerage, has been a member of a team and then has built an individual business. and has been a huge part of, for those of you who are with us in the early days of Command, Wesley was a champion of that system in its fledgling days, and has been a big part of everything that we're doing here as a company, and currently serving as a part of the 2022 Agent Leadership Council. So we're very excited. Wesley completed a rigorous interview process, a competitive interview process. We had lots of good candidates from inside the company, which is always amazing, to provide opportunities for agents to continue to grow their leadership and grow their opportunities as a part of Keller Williams. But we're very excited for Wesley to get underway and see what he does with that program. If you have any questions, or you want to be connected with Wesley, if you're an agent on the West Side, if you are a new agent or an experienced agent, if you haven't heard from me, or you want to learn more about what it looks like to be in coaching, please reach out, michael.rapaski@kw.com. All right, guys, jump into our upcoming trainings. Over the weekend, you got the February training calendar, and it is packed to the hilt with some really awesome stuff. I'm going to dive in and highlight just a few. For those of you that are in bold, don't forget tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. You have an appointment at 9 a.m. Do not be late. If you have not participated in bold before, I'm going to strongly encourage you to not be late. And if you've been a part of bold previously, you know not to be late. All right. Let's talk about, don't know why that slide was there, but this month we are doing a 3-part series, a tech series, and I want you to know that we heard your feedback at the end of last year. We had a conversation with our Agent Leadership Council at our planning retreat in December, and the conversation around technology really became one that was, hey, sometimes it feels like our trainings are technology for the sake of technology, right? And how to use the widgets and gadgets that exist just so that we're better at using them. We want to have a conversation about growing our businesses and then really slot technology in. So whether it's for marketing and advertising, automating your business, or really mastering the market from a data standpoint, those are the series, those are the sessions for this month. So come with your business hat on. And you're going to learn some tech functionality, but it's not for the sake of doing, it's for the sake of growing your business. Next week's sales meeting is going to be a great one. We are talking open houses. If you have held an open house this year, you probably would have an easier time running a zoo. We had, I heard from 2 different individuals about an open house that was held, that separate open house and held with over 100 people at an open house. Now, can you imagine how great that must feel in the moment? Oh my God, this is amazing. And then how bad it might feel to realize that you only got 6 people to hit the sign-in sheet. So we're going to be talking about best practices for open houses in the modern market. So let's talk about what's going on this week. We have a really exciting panel on Thursday. We talk a lot about investing. Gary Keller wrote a book about investing called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. We have a lot of agents who participate as a part of the investor community. And I'm sure that, Jermaine Brooks and Eric Akbar probably, could pencil the cash on cash returns in their sleep. But there's a whole mess of people who are standing at the top of a high dive thinking about whether or not they should jump into this investment pool and don't really know which way to look. And so we said, what better way than to really focus on what it's like to make that first purchase from an investment standpoint. So Mike Arco, who 3 years ago was only investing well, hopefully he was investing in diaper stocks now that he has twins. But he wasn't even in the real estate industry 4 years ago, and now he's an active investor. Sean Hadley, Cross Country Mortgage, they have a really great suite of services for investors. And then Jess Ivins, of course, is the general manager of our property management company. So everything from finding and acquiring to managing your property, we're going to be covering. And then that's going to be moderated by none other than our in-house investment guru and coach to many investors, Eric Akbar. So we're currently operating on a wait list. I want to make one thing really clear. If you've signed up for a ticket and you cannot make it, you cannot make it, please let Carrie Mitchell know. There are people waiting to get into the room, and we want to make sure that we can get the room full and get everybody into the room. So if you cannot make it, please let us know ASAP. And then Friday returns what has been hailed as the single greatest addition to a training calendar ever, which is Reverse Book Club. Now, I've hailed it as such. I don't know that anybody else would really echo that sentiment, but this Friday at 9 a.m., we will have Profit First as our Reverse Book Club. So this is a really powerful book, and this is for agents just getting started in the business. But if you are 2, 3, 4 years in the business, you're starting to get some traction, but you're not really seeing that show up in your bank account, this is the session for you. Hell, I don't care if you're 10 years in the business. If you want more money, we're going to talk through what it looks like to put profit first. And then next week, all of you or several of you should have received an email last night if you were receiving an award for your performance in 2021. It could be you could have been selected as a cultural icon. You could have received an award for helping grow our company as a growth partner, or through your sales volume, sales performance, or your team's performance. We are doing awards, pickups, and happy hours. Thank you, our sponsors, GM Title and Cross Country Mortgage. We are thrilled at the opportunity to have these pickups in each office: Tuesday, February 8th in Rocky River, Thursday, February 10th in Pepper Pike. And guys, don't be geographically bound, right? If you can't make it on Thursday, come to River on Tuesday. Just let us know. We'll have your stuff there. Can't make it to River on Tuesday, we'll see you in Pepper on Thursday. And then big event. This, guys, everyone mark your calendars right now. Last Wednesday of the month, Eric Akbar is going to be leading a conversation around leveraging those nasty tax bills that everybody is in the process of getting and working through right now to generate leads and find yourself some listings or find yourself some clients for life as a result. So this is a session we do every year. It is one of our most highly rated sessions. If you are interested in being a part of it, get on right now, put it on your calendar, and make certain that you do not miss out on that opportunity. And then, guys, we are with north of a dozen of our agents and leaders will be headed down to family reunion in Orlando, Florida, for a big time with a big guy named Gary Keller. He's actually a very slight man, but he's a huge personality, and his impact on the industry is undeniable. Earlier this year, Gary Keller was named the most influential man in real estate, or person probably, the most influential person in real estate. And so one of the highlights of this weekend, outside of the expert panels and the amazing insights from the people the world over, don't forget Keller Williams is a worldwide company, is to stand in the room and hear Gary talk about our company, our values, and the future of our industry. So thrilled for anybody who can make it. If you have more questions or want to know more about it, let me know. And then finally, hey, all this great training, don't forget, if you miss something, it's all available online, or if we sell out, still available on the YouTube page. Pat Barman's expert buyer consultation last week. If you couldn't make it in the room, you can watch it on YouTube today. All right, gang. We are now going to throw it over to our partners, starting with Jade Tishka from Greater Metropolitan Title and Escrow. So Jade, if you are on the line.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am delightful.
Nothing too big today, but I did want to let you guys know I have been working on getting tax rates for all the counties that we do business out of. So those are ready. I will send them to Julia just so you guys have them. But if you need them, I am also available. And if you need one for a county that I do not have, let me know and I will be sure to get that over to you. And that is really it for today.
Awesome. And let me see, you might be our only partner update for today. Jess Ivins is on here. Let's get Jess Ivins up to the main stage. Good morning, Jess.
Good morning. Just wanted to let you guys know I'm really excited about Thursday, so I hope you guys can make it. We're going to be talking about the importance of investing in real estate, and then I will also be talking about property management, of course. And talking about property management, as always, thank you guys so much for all of your referrals that you send over. And please let me know if you have any questions about property management in general, anything that I can do to help you guys win over your clients, or set yourself ahead of the game against other agents in the area. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Jess, and we will look forward to seeing you on Thursday for that panel. Yeah. Speaking of panels, nice transition, Mike. We are going to set up for our new construction panel. We are joined by a few different individuals that are going to be a part of this panel today. So I'm going to get busy spotlighting them. Sean Hadley is currently closing a deal as we speak. Look at him just working overtime for all of you. That better be a KWGM agent.
I'm here.
All right, wonderful. And then I think this is it's a big milestone for Allison. I think this is the 100th panel that she has done over the years for Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. She's always a solid go-to, especially on a topic like this, given her experience and background. And then finally, we are joined by Marlene Huffman. Those of you who know the rising star and rock star second-year agent Heidi Huffman, they are of relation. And so I was introduced to Marlene via Heidi. Marlene works for Hovnanian, which is a builder in our area. And I jumped at the opportunity to get her in here to provide the perspective from the builder as it relates to working with realtors and what all of those sort of projects look like. So I will start by just do a quick round robin. I know I gave introductions, but folks would like to hear from you. Tell us who you are, what you do, how long you've been in the industry, and then that'll give me time to get my questions pulled up. So we'll start with you, Mr. Hadley.
All right, good morning. I'm Sean Hadley, Cross Country Mortgage. I've been in the business for 20 plus years, and Cross Country Mortgage, I've been with the Keller office for 17 years. And with Cross Country here for 6 years, or just under 6 years. And excited to talk about construction financing. We rolled out our C2P program and happy to answer questions here today.
Terrific. Allison, how about you?
Hello, I am Allison Benoit. I have been licensed since 2014. Prior to that, for about 20 years, I sold new construction. I believe I've worked for every builder with the exception of Hovnanian, and I was a national trainer for Pulte.
Excellent. And last but certainly not least, Marlene.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me. I have been with Hovnanian. I am going on my 6th year with the company. I have not worked for any prior builders, and I don't have a real estate license. Yep, I come from a service industry, so this is all a different avenue, but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, I'd say after 6 years, you can pretty much say that your career's in new construction. That's awesome. Well, let's start with you, Marlene. So you heard in my intro, or everyone did it. Yeah, hey, we're dealing with low inventory. We got buyers that have needs. Yeah, new construction's a route, but what are some of the maybe myths or misconceptions about new construction that might have an agent a little bit more timid, or might have them in a position where they're you're putting it in the consideration set right away?
Yeah, definitely. I think first and foremost, it comes down to not having the knowledge behind something that makes us timid. And that's okay. It's our job as sales consultants to know our build process, know how to make it as easy as possible for not only our clients and buyers, but for you as the agent as well. You know, like I mentioned, I do not have a real estate license. So I think that that's kind of one of the first myths, is that that agents assume that we might steal their clients and sell them, you know, in the resale world. That doesn't happen with us, like I said. So we, you know, I strictly just work for K. Hovnanian. I only sell in 1, maybe 2 communities at a time. So I'm, you know, selling just that product. Another myth, I would say, or something that kind of scares agents, is that they're not going to get paid. You know, every builder, we do, you know, they do similar things, but sometimes, you know, builders can make changes to their real estate agent, you know, co-op commissions. K. Hovnanian is very proud to say that we provide 2% off of the total sale price to the agents. You know, you go into some other builders, they're, you know, with the lack of inventory, some builders will look at agents as, you know, that they don't need them. We feel the exact opposite. We want to pay our agents for what they do and all the work they've put ahead of time. And so we value that relationship more than anything.
Love that. I think that's, I mean, you know, that's, I would say that's the one I hear about most, is how does the money work? I heard nobody pays, builders don't pay agents, things like that. And that is certainly not the case. If it was the case, you know, there would be a lot of people wouldn't be a lot less interested in them that they are. But I want to throw it over to Allison now, because I want to talk a little bit about, you know, so those are myths or misconceptions. Let's talk about some of the fun. Like, what are your favorite parts, or what do you enjoy the most about new construction and the process of, you know, partnering with a builder and just that whole ball of wax?
I think one of the easiest things about new construction is when you are on an appointment for new construction, it is very similar to a luxury listing where the listing agent accompanies. So you call, schedule the appointment, or call and register your client. If you think they're going to wander in, call the sales rep, chat a little bit. They're a salesperson just like you, so they got your big personality as well. You walk in and shut up. Let the sales rep sell, and you will learn so much. Typically, I try to think of a couple of questions that perhaps my clients have not thought of that they should perhaps know, but I'm not going to play stump the sales rep. It's fun. It's easy. I consider it to be partner selling, which is something that I love. But you just go in, introduce, you know, at some point telling you like the tile, or, you know, love the range hood, and then just sit back and learn from an expert.
I love that. And so, you know, as we introed this, you know, some of the concern might be, I don't know enough to do new construction. But Allison, what you just told me is it's a great way to learn. There are things that you're going to hear that sales rep say, suggest, talk about, that you're going to be able to take into existing home sales as well. That's
absolutely awesome. Somebody asks you a question you don't know. That's a great question. Let's ask the builder rep.
Now, throwing it over to Sean here. You mentioned some new stuff that Cross Country is rolling out, but when it comes to, you know, maybe I'm working with a buyer and they're pre-approved for a mortgage and they're all that. Do I got to start a whole separate work stream? Am I already in a good spot? What does it look like if my people decide they want to go the new construction route? What's my kickoff with you? Am I already in the mix? What's going on?
Yeah, so the analysis that we do with a customer, we're looking at the same thing. Obviously, we're looking at debt to income ratios. We're looking at down payments, assets. We're looking at work history. We're looking at credit scores. Conventional financing, construction financing, there's 2 different paths. One is an end loan. So if somebody's buying a home, I'm course, sorry, Mike, always a long answer to your question, but there's
I
two
love
different
it.
paths. One is a end loan, which basically is just a delayed closing. It's saying, okay, well, instead of closing like in 30 days or 45 days, it's going to take 4 months or 5 months to build this. It's the same exact process. And we're just going to say, okay, well, we'll close it in August instead of March or whatever that is. Really, the only difference there is, you know, the buyer's information credit will have to be updated again in June or July. We'll have to re-verify income and assets a little bit further down the road, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Sometimes it gives buyers a little bit extra time to save up money. The one sort of caveat there is, of course, if you're applying for a loan today and you want to lock today's interest rate through August, can that be done? Yes, technically it can, but there's a little bit of a premium, a little bit of a bump up in interest rate.
Okay.
The other avenue is a construction loan. We're saying, okay, you know what? We're going to lend the money. You know, the borrower is essentially borrowing the money, of course, and we're funding that construction. So you don't have to do a 12-month rate lock or an 8-month rate lock. There's different terms to that. That we're a little bit more conservative. The debt to income ratio is going to be a little bit lower. Credit's got to be a little bit higher. We do have an FHA program for that, but to answer your question, when we're talking with a customer and if they say make a left turn towards construction, we're going to have that jump right into it, and it's absolutely something we're able to do. If they're exceeding their qualifications, you know, we, you know, just like anything else, can come up with creative options to meet their goal.
Ooh, there's that theme of creativity again. And so, guys, I want to recap what Sean just said, because, you know, have you ever noticed when you're working with some clients, like they just know that, oh, if I do new construction, the rates are going to go crazy, and I'll end up paying, you know, 5% by the time it's all said and done, because the end loan's not going to close in time, whatever, right? The number one thing you want to make sure your clients understand with any real estate transaction, but that there are options, right? So if they go on this path of absolutes, right? You say, well, you know, there's actually a few different options that you can play with, right? There's construction loans, there's end loans, and you know who would be great to talk to about that? Our partners at Cross Country Mortgage, right? And so then you can pull an expert into the equation, but you know, that's one of the things. Allison, I want to go back to you briefly. You know, when are you bringing new construction to the table as an offering? Are you putting it as a part of buyer consultations? Are you waiting till, you know, they're in a multiple offer with 57 other people? And then you're like, well, you know, there's less competition when you build it. How are you bringing it up and getting people comfortable conceptually?
I bring it up in the buyer's presentation.
Okay, so you do a buyer's presentation. I just want to confirm that for anybody that
Excuse me?
I said you do a buyer's presentation for anybody that thinks that running buyers is just running buyers. You do a buyer's presentation, do a full consultation, right?
Oh, absolutely. Don't skimp on the process. Fully immerse your clients and give them everything you got. Always a buyer presentation. Plus, it cuts the amount of time you spend spinning your wheels. So as long as their price point is okay. Another myth I think about new construction is that it's $1 million homes or $800,000 homes. It's not. There are some communities, yes. I don't think you can live across the street from Orange High School in the Pain and Pain community for much under $1 million, but a lot of the regional and national builders you can. So if their area and their price point works towards new construction, I bring it up right away. Have you ever thought about it? Sometimes they're not necessarily interested because of the myths we talked about before, but I always include new construction in their initial search, since there's, you know, their MLS search, since there's oftentimes not a lot of changes in new construction, because a lot of times a builder will put a home on the market that's a spec home or a model, and it looks like it's, you know, sitting there for 200 days. But in the meantime, they've sold 15 other houses in the community just this week. I also set them up on a separate search that is just new construction. If you want to sell new construction, you gotta bring it up. You gotta talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't be shy about it. Even if you're not If you've never sold new construction before, there was a time for everybody on this call, and I'm looking at some really talented realtors. There was a time when you'd never sold a house before. And now you feel pretty comfortable with that. So go ahead and dive in. But before you dive in with both feet, Marlene, what are some ways maybe prior to getting, walking through with my client? I love the get there and shut up strategy Allison offered, but how can I get more familiar with timelines and processes? And more importantly, where's my headset have to be a really good partner to a builder, right? Because if I'm used to working with a co-broke, the relationship's different now.
I think, like Allison said, I mean, the whole, just shut up and let us do what we do best. But I don't think you ever want to be afraid of mentioning new construction. I think that you want to register. I think that that's one of the, going back to some of these myths. If I've gotten phone calls from agents a month after their client purchases, and that's a tough conversation, because they didn't educate their buyers in the, just in the smallest bits to even talk about it. I think it's very important to make that a comfortable conversation as an option, because one of the worst things that can happen to you as an agent is your buyer gets frustrated with the lack of inventory. They start searching on their own on the MLS. They find some new construction listings, and they walk into our office, and they never mention anything that they've been working with an agent. It's tragic for somebody like me to have that conversation. I don't have it often, but it does happen. But like I said, I think that just giving us a phone call, letting us know that, hey, you are working with some buyers that might be walking in, just give us their name, give us your information. I put them in my system and you're linked together. And then going back to your initial question, as far as timelines and things like that, give me a call. I mean, I'm happy to educate, just the basics. I want to be the expert when it comes to new construction, but, and every builder might have a different timeline. Ours is typically about 6 months from the time of contract, between contract and keys. So the first 2 months is a lot of paperwork, securing financing, keeping the excitement and keeping your buyers away from the current market. Sometimes when we have buyer's remorse, buyers want to start looking at, what else they're still getting the pop-ups, the listings from Zillow or Realtor, and then it can confuse them. Then the final 4 months is typically the build process. And like Sean had talked about, we do construction loans and we do end loans. So the buyer is closing either on the property up front or the full house at the very end.
So depending on, I'm sure a question on a lot of realtors' minds listening to this that they might be a little bit too shy to ask is, if there's a construction loan or an end loan, when do I get paid?
For us, you're gonna get paid at the finish of the home. We did do things, we've made changes in the, over the years, but it just works out better to have everything just kind of paid at the very end.
Yeah.
You get paid when we get paid, let's say.
Yeah. Now, Allison is a part of, having worked with so many different builders. Is that common? Is that more common than not? Is that something you're going to want to clarify off to the side? What's that look like?
I think every builder now pays when the house closes. There were a few that would pay you at the close of the construction loan. But then what happens if your buyers, get abducted by aliens and don't close? Because that would be the only reason they wouldn't.
Yeah, which, is happening more and more frequently these days because Sean can't get us the interest rates we want. People are just disappearing. Allison, back to you for a hot second here. All of your experience over the years, I know that, hey, the things that you love, the ways to work it in, but what are some of your biggest lessons learned? Like, what are some things that did or didn't do that you were like, well, I will never do that again, or that's going in the playbook for every single time? Like, what were some of the ahas and epiphanies?
I think for the custom builders is also something that people don't think about. So you can, if somebody doesn't want to be in a community, they can still build a home. But now, you know, you got to find them a piece of land, and, you know, we've had a million land classes, so that's got its own set of thrills. But I had a couple of clients that I helped buy a piece of land and introduce them to builders. And they started talking to their friends and ended up using little one-off builders that, number one, didn't pay me a commission. Number two, turned into a nightmare both times. So I helped them buy a piece of land. They interviewed some of the builders that are willing to build offsite within their price point. And then, you know, like all of our buyers and sellers, they start talking to their friends, and they ended up using, one of them ended up using a contractor who said that they could build, and another one, some builder that was, you know, out of middle field when they were building in Orange. So, you know, it's always easier when you can control the process. So I think, you know, knowing the builders in the area, if you're going to go down that path, I'd make sure and talk to the clients next time, because it kind of happened to me simultaneously.
Yeah.
Next time about the builder that they work with and getting paid, because in both of these instances, I'm expecting to get paid on an $800,000 project where I ended up with a $200,000 piece of land commission.
Right. And so let me build off of that, because that's an important one, right? You want to make sure your client knows that you are their realtor through and through. You're full service. You can do it all. And hey, listen, believe it or not everybody out there in the ecosystem that could build a house says they can build a house. One, can do it the same, or two, is doing hundreds and hundreds at a time, like groups like K-Hove or Pain and Pain or any of these other big groups. And then finally, you know, some of those folks might not necessarily have your client's best interest at heart, but you do. Now, Sean, with the construction loans and all of that, let me throw it over to you. Any standards or things that you do to validate the builder as a part of this process?
So on an end loan, it's relatively easy. We're more interested in a finished product. If it's a VA loan or an FHA loan, there's some additional certifications that are necessary. But on an end loan, it's somewhat streamlined. On a construction loan, there is a bit more of a heavy vetting of the builder. So you can't, you know, this isn't specific to cross country, but very few lenders, if any, will let the buyer build the house. Sometimes you have a contractor, somebody who wants to act as their own GC. So short version is, no, the builder does have to be vetted, approved. We have to show, you know, we're not going to pull builder credit reports necessarily, but we're going to make sure that their business, especially in the current environment with, you know, low inventory and vendor supply chain issues and things like that, there is a bit of vetting. So, you know, the K-Hovanian, for example, that'll be slightly more than a rubber stamp for the most part, just because of their history and experience.
I dig it. And that kind of that perfect timing and rolling over to a question that was in the chat. Marlene, you know, I don't watch the news, but I spend time with people who do, and they tell me inflation's a real thing. It might not be transitory. The cost of materials is through the roof, and that I'd be better off just tearing down my old treehouse and selling it for parts. So what exactly is going on with the cost of materials? How's that impacting our clients that are hearing from the squawk box that things cost more than they ever have?
Yeah, I mean, everything's always going up in price, right? I mean, especially since COVID. And I don't have an exact answer on what, okay, you know, the price for per square foot. It is a great question. We do get it quite often. Our homes in the community style are built or they have the base price that includes the lot, the driveway, a little bit different than building on your own lot. So everything's all wrapped into that. And so yes, have construction costs gone up? Sure. Have they skyrocketed in the last 6 to 9 months? No. They are staying pretty steady. Of course, we always do have to take constant price increases just when labor costs go up, you know, lumber goes up and all that stuff. But, you know, we try as a sales consultant, my main thing is to get the emotional side of things. We have a great training program at KHAV. And I think that that's the most important piece. You know, you're going to have your financially bound buyers, of course, who are going to be very interested in finding out what they can get for their money. But, you know, with this lack of inventory, it's, you know, those prices have gone up in the resale world. So of course they're going to go up with ours as well.
What's the there was a question in the chat. What's the lowest price point? Like if I've never done new construction before, and my client's like, well, maybe I should build. You know, what price range do they really have to be thinking in to be able to play ball?
So I would say, you know, being in community style, you're really going to want to focus on the area part. Every location is going to have, you know, I mean, isn't that the most important area? Location. So those prices are going to depend on, you know, how much the land is going to cost for the builder as well. Currently, we have some communities in Lorain County. We have them down in Stark. We're kind of spread out. I currently work in the Lorain County area, and our homes are, you can get a new construction home for, I would say, with just the minimum down, you could get one in Lorain with the Amherst schools for $1,400 to $1,500 a month. We have communities that have tax abatements in the area, which is extremely helpful for buyers who maybe, you know, so that they can maybe increase their buying power as well. So yeah, that would say that the lowest price point that we have currently is going to be in the mid to high 200s in the Lorain County area.
Great. And then probably up from there. And again, yes, location, as Allison pointed out, you know, if you want to be, you want to be right in the thick of it, and, you know, in certain parts of town, no different than any other home price. Question that came through, you mentioned, you know, hey, price increases are going to happen. What point in the process does everything lock? And follow-up question, feel free to jump in, Sean. How does stuff like that impact? I'm in the process. I think I've got a loan, and all of a sudden price of lumber went up 22%. My wages didn't. So how do I reconcile this?
I'll answer that. Once you sign a contract, there are no price increases.
All right.
Unless you have, not many builders do this, but occasionally, unless you do a change order to add something.
Right.
But once a house is under construction, no structural changes can be made anyway, but you will enter into a contract that's very specific with everything structural. And then, you know, finishes just depends upon the builder. Mm-hmm. But typically before you go to financing, everything has been selected already. So if the price of lumber goes up, you know, like it did post-COVID with, you know, nothing coming out of Canada and no ships in the Suez Canal, it doesn't matter if you'd sign the agreement. So get to agreement as quickly as possible.
And in the past, I know, you know, was way back in the day, you know, change orders were like flying in, like we get a half a dozen change orders, and, you know, that was basically bumping up the price. So oftentimes I have a conversation with a customer on an end loan specifically saying, you know, hey, if there are going to be changes here, especially at the last second, that can throw things off kilter. So I kind of try and set the expectation. You're going to have a $3,000 change order, try and budget for you to pay that out of pocket. That way the loan amount's staying the same. or we have to factor in, re-underwriting the file, a total reanalysis, which for some may not be a big deal, but we typically have that conversation up front to set that expectation.
I love that. Now, Sally threw out a question, and Marlene, Allison, whoever knows the answer, where are all these homes, new construction homes, going to be listed in the MLS, tagged a certain way? Should I search builders? Like, how do I find them if I got a client that is just dying to be in this area, hyper competitive, but there's new construction?
I think most builders list on the MLS may not necessarily be the exact house you're looking for, but they try to have one house in every community on the MLS. So when you're doing a search, you would go in. I always select active, contingent, pending, and recently sold, and then pick your area. And then at least on my MLS, I have it on the right-hand side. You can check to be built. I think it's under construction. There's a couple of, areas that you can select that will tell you that it is a community of new construction. You can also, when you're looking for a house, searching on the MLS, you can also put in something like under 2019, 2019 and the minus sign, but you can specifically select construction on the right-hand side. Just like you would select square footage. Yep. Or, I only want a house with 3+ bathrooms.
Terrific. Well, that is my standard. I'm glad to hear that, somebody else is, has that high level of taste like I do. All right. So we're gonna bring it home and land this fish here with just a couple more questions for the group. In terms of getting going early and obviously all of the process and everything that we're going through from an inventory level, Marlene, in terms of getting my client, whether it's to you or to your consideration set, or is there let me ask this question. Maybe I've got somebody with a lot of options, right? Can I come directly to you and say, hey, I've got a buyer, they're in this price range and they got these geographic options. And can we sit and do a consultation on location to start to narrow the funnel there? Or when do I really bring them to you?
Yeah, like Allison said, in the beginning, I think it's a great practice to talk about new construction from the very get-go with your buyers. But yeah, I mean, you can call any one of us. Like I had mentioned, I only kind of operate in 1 or 2 communities at a time. Right. However, we don't have, I don't have the range like agents do where they can go across, the entire state. I'm so I know what's going on in Lorain County. I know what communities are going on in Cuyahoga. So even if the buyer, after a consultation, we find out that this is not the right location where, I'm currently selling at, I can at least lead them down to the location or the next sales consultant that's in a community in North Ridgeville or, in wherever that might be. So yeah, I mean, it's just a phone call. Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's the easiest thing, is just to kind of get to know each other over the phone. Let me know a little bit about what your buyer's looking for. I'm not going to try to force them into a community that doesn't fit for them, because it's just going to be an ugly process for them anyway. So yeah, I can direct them in the right location.
Love that. So the fact that we now know you, we know everybody we'd ever need to know to do anything with K Hovnanian. Go ahead and throw your phone number and your email in the chat box, if you would, so that everybody can inundate you with opportunities. And then Allison, we're going to come to you last. I'm going to throw it over to Sean. Sean, any final remarks for the good of new construction that you want us to be aware of, or maybe I've already, I didn't know you had construction loans available through Cross Country Mortgage now. And if I've already got somebody maybe in the process or, looking one way or another, any final plugs you want to give to the crew?
Yeah, and just to you got end loans, you could do almost anything. I did a 0 down, $800,000 VA purchase last year. That was new construction. That was an end loan.
Wow.
Did a $560,000 property that was in city of Cleveland with a tax abatement, 0 down VA. We've done FHA. I've got an FHA, 2 FHA end loans going right now that aren't closing until June. We're good. On the construction loan side, you know, if you take a poll, if you have 10 random lenders and throw them in a room and say, hey, who can do construction loans? 5 of them are going to sit down. If you say who can do VA and FHA construction loans, you might have 1 or 2 standing at best, and that's us. So VA, FHA, new construction, that's almost unheard of in the game. So, you know, we're the place for it. So my message would just be, hey, don't be afraid of it. Don't necessarily discourage a buyer who's going down that road. You know, have a conversation with Don, Chris, myself, Carmen, and we can, you know, provide the financing answers that may, you know, drive them down that path, or just, you know, let them know what they need to know.
I tell you what, Sean, Don, Chris, and Carmen have humility for days. If you didn't quite understand what he just said, if there was a Royal Rumble, WWE style, of all of the mortgage companies out there, the last man standing in the proverbial ladder match for new construction loans is going to be Cross Country Mortgage. So if you've got anybody that even hints at new construction, they're going to have more options and more opportunity with Cross Country Mortgage than with anybody else, period. The end. Allison, bring us home. Final tips or top do's and don'ts for new construction for our crew.
Talk about it, sell it. Salespeople don't need to necessarily know what they're talking about. You just need to know how not to answer questions incorrectly. Another thing that is a really, really good idea is to go visit model homes. You know, don't call me and say you want to come to one of my new construction projects in Sterling Lakes at 8:30 in the morning. I'm not an open model. But if there's somebody in there, go into the model, talk to the sales rep, and put it up on your social media. You know, here I am in this, you know, beautiful home in, you know, wherever the city is. Go in and do a little video walkthrough or a selfie with the sales rep. You know, get it out there on your social media that you know about new construction, that you sell new construction. And it really is, it's very fun. It's very fun. And if you're working with a great new construction sales rep, and you have a little bit of a like wackadoodle client, you have somebody that knows that can, you know, help you laugh your way through it.
Yeah, which those are rare, right? Those are rare these days. You know, those type of clients are few and far between in the modern era. All right. Well, Sean, if you could put your information in the chat, Allison, you as well. I know that you guys are huge resources to a lot of our agents in a lot of different ways. And I know that short of showing your new construction at 8:30, Allison, I know you'd be happy to help anybody who is coming out of the blocks and stumbling a little bit for those conversations. Guys, thank you, all of you, so much for being here today. Really helpful. Had a lot of people dial in, seen a lot of cameras on and a lot of notes being taken. And so I'm hopeful that we are going to be able to sell a lot of new construction, because at the end of the day, we're in this game to help people get into homes, new or existing or otherwise. And with existing home sales doing what they're doing, new construction is still continuing to recover from the great financial crisis of 10 years ago, 12 years ago now. And so opportunities will continue to expand in that forum. If you can get in the mix and master it early on, you'll always have something to sell. That is going to be it for our session today, guys. Next week, we're talking open houses, how to master them when you, and how to work them in the modern era. And then also this thing that nobody's seen in almost 2 years is making a comeback called Brokers Opens. What are they and how do I leverage them to sell my client's house? So be here next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, and have a wonderful week, you guys.